noon, I had this huge text message apology from my dad. And in the 30 years that I've been raised by my parents, my dad has never apologized to me the way that he apologized to me on that text message. And for me, it was just like, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to stand up for what's good for you. And you know what that is. And you know what those instincts are telling you. And you know what your gut feels. And you need to continue to be yourself no matter what the costs are. And what happens is the people who really love you in your life, they're going to stand by you. And so my parents, they love me, but they're fighting with something within themselves. You know, they don't know who they are. They don't know what they're doing with their life. They are at that part in the world where they've been working all of their life and they can't retire. They don't have any savings. They're still paying off their mortgage and they're in their 50s. And that's a tough life that they chose for themselves, but that doesn't have to be my problem. You know, that doesn't have to be my burden that they chose that lifestyle or that they got themselves to where they are. And so when you're talking about how do I coexist in this house, I don't really coexist in this house. I honestly, like living here, it's been one of the hardest things that I've ever done, but I've lived here since the month before I had Addie. And that's a part of my codependency I'm still letting go of. I'm working really hard to try to stay consistent because consistency is hard for me. When you talk about going from relationship to relationship to relationship and job to job to job, that's me. I'm so guilty of that. It's crazy. But the last relationship I had was 5 years ago. So I was making some really good progress because 5 years ago, I broke up with somebody that I was with for 2 years. And I had left the boyfriend before him for him. And that boyfriend before him was 6 months. And he was the one who got me out of my marriage. And so I literally jumped relationship to relationship to relationship looking for acceptance. And yeah, so now the last 5 years, looking for acceptance is still a thing because I have this child. When you become a parent, you want to be accepted by the people in the world the way that you want to parent your children. But I am very unique and I do not think about life the way that anybody thinks about life. And so I may
Wait. There are people out there that think about life the same way you do. You just haven't met them yet.
I am meeting a lot of people that think about life the way that I think about them. But also on top of that, I'm meeting people who think about the way that I think about life who don't have kids. And so like they'll ask me natural human questions like, am I going to put her in school? And just these things that I'm just like, I don't know if I can talk to you now because I don't know what you're going to say when I tell you like, no, like I'm probably going to be that hippie that raises her kid. And like,
I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to say it. I was going to say it. You beat me.
Is that better?
Let's see here.
Yes, that's better. I can
there
hear
we
you
go.
now.
We had a little interference.
I think it was probably my headphones have been having a struggle with these ones for some reason.
But. So what I want to ask you about, you're doing the best you can as a mom with the resources that you have and with the energy that you have. You're doing the best you can
every day.
Do you feel that your parents are starting to recognize that about you?
No.
How does that make you feel that they don't recognize it?
I think some days is hard and some days I really don't care. And I think that because I've been connecting with Source so much, like there's this battle of feeling alone and feeling like I'm never alone, you know, like it's this human existence. Like, I know I'm not alone in this. I know that everybody's going through this. Every single person on the planet is trying to figure out, am I accepted? Am I doing a good job? Am I truly living out my purpose in life? And if you're not feeling those things, then you might feel numb. And I felt numb from the time I was 18 until I was about 28 after I had my daughter.
Wait, so hold on, 18
10
to
years.
20, you felt alone?
I felt numb.
Excuse me, felt numb. I
Numb.
mean, emotionally, you felt numb for about
Numb.
a decade of your life.
Yep.
Why?
I grew up Christian, and one of the things that I really dreamed of was saving myself for marriage. And going through all of this hardship took me into a part of my life that I was really ashamed of for a while. And then once I finally decided to stop being ashamed, I was numb. I was just numb to things. My first boyfriend, when I was 18, I worked for Wells Fargo, and he was kind of like a lead on the teller floor or whatever. And he and I would argue about Jesus, about God, about religion. And he was 21 and I was 18. And I was attracted to him for some weird reason. Like, he was 21 and he was balding, and like he just had this nasty bad boy attitude that I was so attracted to. And to be honest with you, it sounds just like what my mom tells me about how she was attracted to my dad in the beginning. And because I don't find my dad attractive at all. And I think that I have a pretty good understanding.
That's really good in so many levels. That's really good. But go ahead.
No, so I let this boy come into my life, and I didn't know at the time he was already in a relationship for a year. I didn't know he had a girlfriend. I didn't know him. And after about 4 months of working with him, he invited me and one of my best friends to a party, and I had just started drinking. I had just figured out that alcohol was fun. And he invited me to a housewarming party, and I was just in this rebelliousness stage where I was just hurt by a lot of things. I had gotten kicked out of youth group because I got curious about alcohol, and there were certain things that had happened, and I spun the truth a little bit. And all of a sudden, my youth pastor got really nasty with me and just hateful. And he was like my dad for 4 years. And like, just a lot was happening in my life that was very emotional and very hard for me to swallow. And I let this boy take advantage of me. And like, I can honestly tell you that I don't remember losing my virginity. And when that happened, I didn't know how to feel. I was heartbroken. I was devastated. He told me 2 weeks later that he had done that. And I didn't even know. And he realized that I didn't know. And he felt guilty about it. But he was a narcissist too. And he was an alcoholic. He actually made me responsible for the fact that I didn't remember. And that was really difficult for me to swallow. The whole thing was hard for me to swallow. So from that point on, I had decided, well, I already gave it away, so now it doesn't matter. And so then I just started to really put my heart into different people and kind of just allow this unfolding of my body to become a thing. And it was hard for a little while, but I became numb to it. I was drinking, I was partying, I had parties every weekend with my roommates in our apartment. And I moved out of my parents' house at 18, like I told them I was going to. I didn't want to live in that house anymore with my dad, this house that I live in currently. And so I know that I started this conversation for a reason.
You started this conversation because you were talking about living and coexisting in that house and how
being numb.
How it makes you feel and being numb. And
So,
it's almost like that numbness spreads, right? It's spread into your life.
I think that my mom was numb, and she taught me how to be numb. And that's a part of codependency. You know, you just kind of become numb to, okay, this is the life that I've chosen for myself now.
I'll just live it and let it go.
Yeah. And so like my whole life was just blowing up in front of me, and I couldn't do anything about it. Couldn't control how I felt. I would cry when I was drunk. I cried probably every time I was drunk. And I had other friends who were going through hard times in their life, and we would just be drunk together. And we were just an emotional disaster at 18, you know? And then I met my ex-husband when I was 19, and we drank a lot together.
How'd you meet? Was it through work or what?
Through a friend who he went to elementary school with. that I was best friends with at the time. He introduced us, and then we met over the phone. I was supposed to go down to Texas to a Christian college. My parents drove me all the way down. And my dad had this fun thing that he would manifest in my life. Anytime I would do something big like that, he would say, nope, you're going to come right back home. Every time. And every time he was right. Every time I came right back home. Every time. So mad about it. But it's funny, the last fight that we just had that I was talking about before, he tried to tell me that the life that I was going to give my daughter was moving from person's house to person's house to person's house. And I recognized it when it happened. I wasn't angry. I recognized it. And I stood up and I said, no. And he said, yeah. And I said, no, you are not my God. My faith is bigger than you. You don't get to decide how I manifest or how I create the reality before me. My God does. And he's way bigger than you. And you can manifest the crazy shit that you got going on for yourself.
You stop cursing.
I have dreamed about saying those kinds of things to this man.
I was going to ask you, was that the first time that you said it like that?
No.
Ever?
Yeah. No. Yeah. That was the first time ever.
That was a different. Did you feel yourself more under control when you did it?
The first time I felt myself more under control with him was the very big fight that we had, because he put his hands on me. And when he put his hands on me, I threw my hands out of that. Like all of those Kung Fu movies, you guys, that I've ever seen, like they came to...
You know what? You're too funny, girl. You're too funny. You're too funny. I mean,
like when you're really in the moment of something so fierce,
right,
and your blood is rushing. I've never been in a fight before in my entire life. Like I've never hit somebody. I've never... Like, that's not me. That's not who I am. Like, I'm somebody who likes to talk my way out of it. I like to come to an understanding with people, and I like to come to a disagreement.
You are indeed a diplomat, madame. I'm
a people pleaser, is what I really am.
But you know exactly what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
When you're in a situation, you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But when you were 18... you're in situations, 19, so forth. But at some point, the numbness had to go. And what was that like when you recognized the numbness had to go? Or is it still there?
No, it's definitely like, that's what I've been going through. Is like, I'm not numb anymore and I feel everything now. So I'm re-evaluating, feeling hatred and feeling disgust and feeling anger and feeling sadness and depression and feeling overwhelm and anxiety. I'm going through the motions of actually healing these energies that we feel when we feel triggered. And the last year that I felt numb was the year that I got pregnant, because after I broke up with my last ex-boyfriend, I went through another phase of trying to feel something. And for some of us, we use sex, we use alcohol, we use drugs, we use different things to supplement the void that we're feeling. And for me, it was sex and alcohol. It was both. And so I got on Tinder and I started meeting different people and I started meeting up with them. And the last scary situation that I was in was that year. And I was numb because it took full responsibility that I put myself in that position. I said yes all the way up to the point that got me there. I said yes to going to meet him. I said yes to all the things, and I was just going with the flow. And I didn't follow that intuition. I didn't follow my gut. I didn't follow it. I just kept saying yes because I thought maybe I'll feel something. I felt scared, and then I let it be numb because I decided that I was responsible for it.
You let the fear be numb.
Yes.
And instead of listening to that intuition.
Yep, because I had decided that I'm going to have to get through this no matter what happens. I have to get through, and I have to make it home tomorrow, because I went on a road trip with this guy to Kansas.
Wow.
He didn't tell me what it was for, and then when I found out, I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm in this car going to Kansas right now. But he was making a drug deal, and I was in it, and I was like, okay, I'm here. I better make sure that I'm safe. I better make sure that I'm careful. And then when we got there, it was like he decided to cross all of my boundaries that I hadn't set because I didn't know this man. But that's what we do. You know, we do scary things like that when we were trying to figure out who we are. I know that people have faced a lot scarier things that I've faced, but I have faced all the emotions that I suppressed when I went through them. And the very last time that I felt numb was the moment I found out that I was pregnant. And I carried that numbness all the way until she was about a year and a half.
Wow.
Because I wasn't ready to be a mom. I wasn't ready to take on this responsibility. I wasn't ready to figure out what kind of parent I was going to be, or how I was going to be a better parent than what raised me, and how I wasn't going to carry all that pain back into my life. But you know what? I had to. You
You
literally
were you
face
were you were
all of it.
mid 20s? Wait, you were mid 20s? No, wait.
I was
Late
27 when I had my daughter.
when you had her? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, um, like, they talk about postpartum depression. And when you hear those words, you're like, that's not going to be me. But what postpartum depression is a rush of emotions, a rush of overwhelm, and a rush of fear all at once that hits you. And everybody deals with it differently. But no matter how planned your pregnancy is, having that baby changes your life. And not everybody's ready for the change that it brings into your reality. And so when you face fear, if you are like me, it's really easy to just numb it out with, I'm here and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm here. And I don't want to know how it's going to work. And I don't know what I need to do. And just, I would literally cut everybody's conversations off because I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't talk to people about what I was going to do. My least favorite thing about other women is that they like to give advice and they like to tell you what you should and you shouldn't do. When the reality is that nobody knows what they're doing until they do it. And once you figure it out, it's scary at first, but you kind of get this rhythm with your kid to where you've got things. And the worst thing you can do is talk to other people about what you do with your kids, because everybody's different with what they do with their kids. But yeah, I've faced a lot of anxiety over the last 3.5 years with my daughter. And that is what I am finally breaking through, is the anxiety part of it. And it's hard.
There,
Anxiety
there,
is really hard to get through.
no, listen. You're a very real person, very
Yeah.
authentic person. But I have to. Okay, so when it comes to dealing with taking care of your daughter now,
Mm-hmm.
what have been some of the big positive steps that have happened that showed you that you're stronger than what maybe your anxiety showed you?
Well, I'm really grateful for my spirituality, because my spirituality teaches me that stillness and silence are the best thing in the world. Because when you slow down and you stop thinking, you naturally bob to the top of the water. You know, like we're like a bobber in
No,
the
no, no.
water. I love that expression. That's Abraham Hicks. If you guys have ever listened to Abraham Hicks, talks about how when you let go of your thought process, when you let go of your need for control, you naturally bob to the top of the water. And even if the waves come, you're going to sit right on the top of the
Yeah,
wave and it's going
because
to miss you.
because you start to find yourself, especially excuse me, especially in your set of circumstances, in your age group, in
Mm-hmm.
your generation. The more you slow it down, it's amazing how you don't feel weighed down anymore. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel weighed down anymore with all those negative emotions. I like what you said in our first segment. We were talking how you really started doing quote unquote your shadow work, right? You start
Mm-hmm.
dealing with those things they were actually weighty things that were
Mm-hmm.
affecting a lot of things, but now you're able to focus better. And when I watch you and your daughter interact with each other, I just wonder, I know you have only one daughter, but I wonder what you would do. Now we're going to have some fun here for a second as I get my voice back. This is what I get. I've been on vacation and I've been sick and a number of other things, and now I'm just now getting my voice back in shape, and I'm practicing on you.
It's like, we've
So,
got this. We've got
so,
this.
so I know. You keep it okay. So check this out. We're gonna have some fun. Just hold on a second. Let's just hypothetically say. Let's just imagine if you had another child. Let's say a girl. Go with me now. Use your visual eyes. If you had another child,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what you know now,
Mm-hmm.
what would be the first two things you would tell? This is a child in the future. what would you tell your future self, the two things that the future Amber would need to keep in mind if you had another child?
Perfect is an illusion.
That's a good. You need to market that shirt. That would be good. Go ahead. That's one.
And teamwork makes the dream work.
There you go. That okay. So just
I mean, those are the best ones.
just for me, because I get to be a little selfish here in this moment. That is how I would describe you from the day that I first talked to you. That perfection was not something you were seeking from people, and you do that when you meet people, no doubt. Perfection was not something you expected from someone. You expected honesty. Teamwork, you expected everybody to pull their fair share, but if there's a need to help out, you're willing to be there to help.
Yeah.
That is how, I've never told you that, right? I've never told you, but that is exactly how you are from the day that I've met you, though we've talked about all types of number of different things.
Yeah.
What's interesting I find about you, and from your life story that we've talked about, and I just had to name this live with you, Amber Speaks, is because I know that you're speaking. Oh, I hope you can hear me. My thing is messing up there on me, or is it you got me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're when you speak, you actually teach people not what's in your head, but what's in your heart. And so therefore, when you talk to your daughter, you're really that's really baby Amber. That's little Amber before the age of 6. That's little that the Amber we're all getting now is the Amber that has shooken off some of those weighty things that can weigh a person down, the anxieties of life that can weigh a person down. And I'm pulling some of that stuff from the Bible, but
I love it though. No, I love it. Like we're letting go of those chains.
I love the. What did you say, the the bobbing part? How did you say it again?
Like we're all a bobber in the water, and if you just stop trying to control things, stop trying to be the fish that drags yourself down.
Stop trying to what again? Because I love what you said. Stop trying to what?
Stop being the fish that drags yourself down.
Life takes on a different meaning and a different perspective, and even when we're surrounded by people who are self-absorbed, selfish, self-centered, uncaring, and definitely people who are not full of positive energy, we can be absorbed by that, or like you often say, we can refocus. We can actually have a different mindset, and we can be around that energy, but we got to know when it's time. And you kind of said it. It's time. Sometimes we have to kind of get away from that.
Have to
go. When it was warmer, you were going like to the river. You were doing different things.
Yep. During the summer.
And it kept you going in the right direction. Kept you sane.
Yes. Yes, it did.
Kept you sane, as you would say.
It was so beautiful too to be able to stand in the river. I haven't really done things like that.
I know you said that. Yeah, and I was surprised when you said that.
I think like for me, I've always just wanted to be around people. Like I hate doing things by myself because I want to be with somebody, you know? And having my daughter has really shown me that like she is another like piece of me that I get to spend that time with, and she relies on me as a child, relies on a mother, just to support and encourage, and I love being there for her. And now that she's getting to a space where she can talk and like express herself, she's the sweetest person when it comes to sharing love. She tells me all the time, "Mommy, I love you," and then just that is a reflection of me saying, "Addie, I love you," and like it's just so cool to just
and
build somebody up that way.
I like when she wants something, and just to watch, to hear your tone and your demeanor when you figure out she's trying to get something off the cabinet or whatever, like when we've done lives before, we're talking. I think it's interesting watching your reaction, because her reaction is, "I'm just as determined as you are, Mom." So it's like, I'm going to be persistent. She's just as persistent. She's just as determined.
It's so funny.
And it's not a bad thing. It's what you said earlier.
It's just funny.
What'd you say? When it's girls, they, stuff flies out their mouth, and it can be painful when they say it. Teenage girls are
just patient.
What? You have to be what?
Patient.
So what do you have to be with her as what?
Always patient. And you know,
Anyway,
it's funny, like the other thing is like you want your children to be patient with you, but you have to
yeah,
lead by
yeah,
example. So the
yeah,
less
yeah.
patient you are with your children, the less patient they are with you. And I've learned that.
That's where I find your situation when you're living with your family. You guys are being a family is what you're doing, right? You're being a family best you can, but you're making the best out of it, speaking in her behalf when she doesn't know what's going on around her. When you
Right.
speak to your dad, and
Hmm.
you're being her advocate, you're being her lawyer in her behalf. She's your
And
client, and you're
sometimes
kind
my
of like,
family,
yeah,
sometimes they're more children than my own child is. And it's hard. It could be so hard. Like trying to get her ready for bed could be so difficult because they want to play on her level. And I'm like, you guys, it's bedtime. You don't have to lay in bed with her for 3 hours while she tries to fall asleep. Can we just like bring it from here to here so that she's ready for bed?
Well, you know
Thanks.
what? They're getting, but see, now come on now. Let's look at it from their perspective for a moment.
They don't have
They're
kids.
getting, they're getting, they're getting Amber number two. So
Yeah,
they're enjoying Amber number
true,
two, and
true.
you're letting them know that the number one Amber is still around. Amber
Yep.
two's got to go to nap. Now you got to deal with Amber number one and be nice to me the same way you're nice to Amber
Exactly,
number two.
exactly.
So, so look, hey, we could talk all day, but
All
that's not
day.
fair to you, and it's not fair to me, but it's really not fair to your daughter, who's just too
She's
precious.
sleeping next to me in the
Oh, she
bed.
is.
I
She
went
is
and put her
sleeping.
down
Okay.
for her nap.
You know,
Yeah.
you know what? I never know if that lasts because one time you said she's gonna be sleeping for 3 hours. Don't worry about it.
And
And
then
like
boom, she woke up.
15 minutes later, she was up while we were doing the show together. No, it's okay. I love it. I love it. It's
Mhm.
family. You're a family person who doesn't expect people to be perfect, and you're very much so a team-oriented person. So
Mhm.
you're teaching those things to your daughter. But we've got other things that we're going to be talking about in the future. So you guys don't think this will be the last you see of Amber. Amber's been around. Unfortunately, I call on her every now and then when I have to
It's
just
not
let
unfortunate at all. I love
just
it. I
wait up.
think it's
So
great.
yeah, you're a good person, and keep safe in Colorado. Make sure your daughter stays safe.
Hmm.
And what are two words of advice? I know you're going to give me five, but what are two words of advice to give to someone that has to deal with a narcissist that you learned from the video again? That's in this segment. What's some two things that you could mention you got out of the video that people need to keep in mind so that the narcissist doesn't control them?
My
From
favorite thing that
Lisa
Lisa talked
Rebuttal.
about was being objective and teaching yourself how to be an objective person and recognizing how our culture alone is very subjective. And if you don't know what those words mean, look them up and educate yourself. I
No,
think that
no,
so
no,
many
no, no. They
people,
need to DM you. Wait, they need to DM you.
well,
Forget looking them up. Just
I
talk with
mean,
Amber.
yes, but also like, and I had this conversation with somebody yesterday who wanted me to help them with their natal chart for astrology. um, I told them, I said, you know, like when it comes to me as a person, like if you're going to sit down and talk with me, you better have 2 hours to sit and talk with me because we talk a
Okay,
lot. That's how I
she's
am.
telling the truth. She's telling the truth. And I don't have 2 hours. I'm looking at a clock. So go.
Most people don't. So that's why I'm saying, like, I think it's so important to educate yourself. If you keep sitting around waiting for people to feed you what you need to know, then you're not utilizing your time and your existence here. Educate yourself. Educate yourself on what it means to have mental health. It's not all about schizophrenia and bipolar disorder or PTSD. It is truly about how your thought process is in your mind and what is the tone of voice that you carry in your head when you think about yourself, when you think about people, when you think about the tasks you need to do? How do you treat yourself and how do you treat others in your mind? That is so important to know. So when it comes to life in general, educate yourself, read things, listen to podcasts, listen to different people, form your opinions, journal out your thoughts, educate yourself. So important to educate yourself. You should always
High
be
five.
educating yourself.
High five. Our high five. You know, the only person I can get to do that with because they totally go near my high five. Everybody else just looks at me like, I don't know. Hey, look, you're an awesome young woman and you're doing
Thank you.
some amazing things, but the best is yet to come for you. Be patient with yourself, like you said,
Always.
and you're being exemplary to your daughter. And if I give you any more compliments, I promise your head will explode. You'll be like Megamind in the cart.
I love Mega Mind. It's such a good one.
Like,
Thank you.
hey, my favorite movie. Hey, let's see, maybe I'll grow blue hair like you. But I shaved mine off this morning, so my head was cold. So
Wait,
I just
wait till
went.
you see what I do next.
Oh no, I know I was gonna say. Do not wait. What have we had? We've had pink. We've had green.
Nope,
And you
not
didn't really
green.
want
I
to.
haven't done green yet.
Gem decorator? Oh, I thought you did. Okay. What did teal? What was it? No,
It was like a light blue. It was
light
supposed to
blue.
be
Okay.
this color, but it didn't come out that color. I've done
Okay.
pink and
So,
purple. I've done purple.
oh, that's right. You did purple.
I
Okay.
did
So
pink.
what we're finding out is that you are internally on a journey of healing, and your hair is on a journey as well externally. So I am out. I'm out. I'm done.
Okay.
You're always in my prayers, and
You
on
too.
your end, I know somewhere in the universe you're thinking about my family over here, and I'm always thinking
Yes.
about yours. You stay safe, and I
You
will
too.
talk to you soon.
Sounds
All right,
good.
thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Good to see you.
Bye.
Go take a nap now. Go take a nap or something. Bye.
Bye.